otherwise you wouldn't be here. Josef Rakich, who is the official personal trainer for the NZ Fitness Expo. And anyone who has seen his following or what he does, his programs and stuff, they're amazing. And you have a look at some of the transformation photos and things like that. And I always say to people, I get a lot of questions about what you should do, how should you train, all that sort of thing. You go talk to people who look how you want to look. Simple as that. Okay? So you know that they know what they're doing. And I certainly know that this guy knows what he's doing. So I'm going to hand you over to Josef. So it's pretty much a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, check out his abs. We check out your abs now. Let's have a look. Seriously? Damn it. So if you want to check out his abs, ask him again, it's not a problem. And I'll just float around and just get you guys to ask questions. But honestly, this is a chance to go, what do you do? What do you eat on cheat meals? Because seriously, you're pretty upfront and you'll just call it as it is. Yeah, you know, and you do. You get people who write in magazines and they go, no, I go and eat pizza and I do that. It's bull, you do. Right? Some people get away with it, some people don't. So I'm sure that we're going to get honest, real answers today. So that's on for you now. So any questions? And I'll just run out with the mic. Go. Oh, make me run further. As soon as the fitness expo, I suppose. And hopefully that is on for you. Try that.
Good, good.
Just wondering, how did you get into the whole fitness model training?
How did I get into fitness modeling there? Well, back in 2008, I joined up to a gym and I started going there after school on the odd occasion, just here and there. Nothing real serious. As time went on, I started noticing a bit of results, so I got more serious about my diet, my training. As that got more serious, I started posting up on social media like Facebook and all that. And from there, that's where I kind of brought my name up, and that's when people started contacting me, and that's how I got into my fitness modeling and all that. Anyone else?
No, you can do this.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I've seen your website, you're kind of selling programs and all that sort of stuff. How did you get the knowledge to kind of create that?
How did I get the knowledge to create plans and programs?
Yeah, not the plans and programs, but your website and kind of how you structure the website and social media and all that sort of stuff, like the business side of it. How did you kind of that experience, knowledge? Or did you get someone to do it for you, or did you research it yourself? Or
well, first off, I started posting pictures of myself up online, and people came to me asking for advice on diet and training, so I'd give them advice for free. I got to the point where a lot of people were asking me for advice, so I thought I may as well sell meal plans and workout programs and charge for the service. So that's what I did. I started off with just a basic website where people could purchase a meal plan or workout program, but it was starting getting real busy, so I thought I'd make my website a lot better. So I went to a web company, which was DMD, and they helped build a website for me, which was much more advanced and had a much more bigger system around it. And then from there, it's just growing. Anyone else got any questions?
Yeah, g'day mate. Oh, you go. Do you switch your workout plan every six weeks, or?
Do I switch my workout programs? Yes, I do. I usually stick with the same routine for maybe about a month. So about 4 weeks, I did the same thing, same exercises, and then I change it up. It's always good to change your exercises up every now and again because the body gets used to doing the same thing over and over again. So if you're always doing bench press, your chest is going to be used to that movement. So when you change something up and you start doing dumbbell press, it's a different movement for the chest. So it's going to be hitting the chest muscle with a different type of stress, which is going to help with muscle growth. So it's always good to change up your workouts every 4 to 6 weeks.
Hey bro, what are you eating before your workout, man? What are you eating before you go and train and then after?
Before I go and train? Not Pop-Tarts. It always changes, but I always like to have a carb source before I train. I like to have about 1 or 2 hours before I train, so that way it gets in my system. Carbs are your body's best source of energy, so I always like to have some source of carbs before I train, along with a source of protein. During my training session, I sip on BCAAs from EHP Labs, Beyond BCAAs. That helps me keep me anabolic throughout my training session, helps give me a good muscle pump as well. After I train, I go home pretty much straight away. My next meal is another carb source and then protein as well. Usually chicken and rice or oats and just a protein shake. Yep.
In conjunction with you mixing up your workouts, do you mix up your food as well?
Yeah, so do I mix up my food? Yes, I do. Depends what my goals are at the time, if I'm bulking or if I'm cutting. If I'm bulking, I'm obviously eating a lot more food. I stick to the same diet for about a month, and then I adjust my calories and my macronutrients, which is my protein, my carbs, and my fats. So for about a month, I keep about the same calories with the same macronutrient split. After the month, then I change things up. If I'm dieting, every month I'll decrease my calories because your body is going to adapt to the amount of calories that you're on. So you're going to eventually get to a point where you're not losing any more body fat, so you have to adjust the calories or adjust your workouts, burn more calories through cardio or stuff like that. Anyone else?
What's your budget for food a week, bro?
My budget for food?
Don't ask.
I do spend a lot on food, but most of the food that I do buy is all cheap. Cheap foods like, rice is cheap, oats are cheap, protein powders.
So if you're in bulking phase, what would you spend a week on food?
Roughly,
200?
yeah, maybe $200-300. Yeah. I eat a lot when I'm bulking. My metabolism is pretty fast, so it just burns through calories. So for me to gain size, I've got to eat quite a lot of calories.
Have you ever thought about putting something together for like the cheap budget, put a video together going through the shopping market and buying foods specifically to a budget for guys who can't afford $200 or $300 worth of food a week?
No, I hadn't actually thought of that. It's actually a good idea. So I'll actually probably put a video together, telling you good, cheap foods to eat.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Just like the GoPro in front of it.
Going through the supermarket, yeah.
What's your YouTube?
Yeah, but yeah, I'll get a video up there. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just search Josef Rakich on YouTube, and you'll find my channel.
How many days a week do you work out?
I train 5 to 6 days a week. Most of the time it's 6 days a week. I train for about an hour to 2 hours. When I'm bulking, I don't do any cardio. When I'm cutting, I add cardio to the end of my cut, just to help speed things up. So when I add cardio in, my training sessions are a little bit longer, as I do my cardio after my workout.
What kind of cardio do you do?
What's that, sorry?
What kind of cardio do you do? Do you like HIIT or?
I do normally low intensity, so low intensity sustained state cardio. There's all different types of cardio, HIIT is probably the best because the effect lasts for 24 hours, you get the afterburn effect. But HIIT is very hard on the central nervous system, and when you're training 5 to 6 times per week, your central nervous system takes a big hit anyway, and doing HIIT cardio on top of that is just really taxing for your CNS. So I always, my preferred cardio is normally low intensity.
So the low intensity is important for the afterburn to obviously get the abs.
Low intensity doesn't really have an afterburn effect. Low intensity cardio, say if you did cardio for half an hour low intensity, cardio is a good tool for burning calories.
Okay.
So low intensity burns calories when you do the cardio. The idea of HIIT cardio, which stands for high intensity interval training, the idea of that is to speed your metabolic rate up and all that. So you'd want to maybe sprint as hard as you can for 10-15 seconds, get your heart rate up as high as you can, and then let your heart rate drop. Maybe just go for a walk for about a minute, and then sprint again. Do that maybe 6 or 8 times. Probably takes you maybe 10-15 minutes at the most, and that is HIIT. Now, during that HIIT cardio session, it might take 15 minutes. You won't burn as much calories as you did compared to 30 minutes of LISS. But over the 24-hour period, that HIIT cardio will produce a bigger calorie burn over the whole 24-hour period. So that's the afterburn effect of HIIT cardio. That's why HIIT cardio is superior to low-intensity cardio. But the reason I choose to do low-intensity is just because my trainings are pretty intense as it is, and it's just really taxing, Yeah, anyone else? Yep.
Clearly your business is quite successful. Do you have any tips or advice for business owners?
If you love what you do, you're going to do well. Do you own a business yourself?
Yeah.
fitness business, yeah. So, or training, or?
Yeah, training.
Yeah. The best way that I've found that helps me is posting the results of clients. So when people see other people get results, they can relate to that, and then that's going to help you get your clients. Yeah. Yep.
How many hours of sleep do you normally get a night? You're always posting on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, my hours of sleep. It always changes. I try to aim for at least 6 hours a night. Sometimes it's less, sometimes I only get maybe 4 hours, depends how busy I am with work and everything. But yeah, I don't really sleep more than 8 hours in a night. Yeah, 6 to 8 hours. Yep.
When you go through town and stuff, does everyone notice you and think, fuck?
When I go to town? Yeah. Yeah, on the odd occasion I get recognised quite a bit when I'm out and about now. Yeah.
Do you drink alcohol?
No, I don't drink alcohol. I have not drank alcohol for probably about 4 years now.
And was it a health decision or another reason?
I don't guess it was a health decision. I guess it was partly for my health and partly for my physique. You can drink alcohol in moderation. It's not really going to make a big difference, but if you binge drink every weekend, it'll take effect on your physique. And it's just a choice that I've made now not to drink alcohol. Anyone else?
I'm not sure if you covered this already, man, but what made you decide to go from one-on-one training with people like person and go into that online training? What was the biggest decision that sparked that one?
What made me change from one-on-one training to online? Well, when I was at the gym working as a personal trainer, training people one-on-one, I started my online business, so I was doing both of them at the same time. The online business just started getting a lot busier, and then I thought I may as well dedicate all my time into the online business and then leave the personal one-on-one out off the side. When you're training one-on-one in a gym, I was pretty much only just training people from West Auckland, as that's where I'm from. But now that I'm doing online training, I can train a lot more people and from all over the world, and I can get a much larger client base.
Yeah. And for that online training, is your marketing mainly just online marketing, or are you doing other stuff outside of that?
Yeah, all my marketing is online. So through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, just all through there, yeah. And then apart from that, just word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who do you follow as to motivate you, bro? Like, who do you follow?
Who do I follow?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people in the fitness industry that I follow and that I look up to as well. A few of the people that are sponsored by EHP Labs, which are the company that I'm also sponsored by.
Yeah.
So Max Philosophia and also Ulysses Williams. They're people that I follow. I also follow people like Arnold, even though he's past his time, but he's still good to follow, good inspiration. And then I like to follow the others, like the IFBB pros, such as Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, all of that. Just good inspiration. Even though my goal is not to look like Jay Cutler or anyone, it's still good to follow them and just see what they're up to.
Yeah.
Yep.
What advice would you give on eating out or cheat days?
Eating out or cheat days? I don't really mean the cheat day. A cheat meal, maybe. It depends what your goals are. If you want to eat something that you have been craving, you can actually make that fit into your diet, into your calorie requirements. So if you do that, say if you eat, a McDonald's burger and you make that burger fit into your calorie requirements, that technically wouldn't be a cheat meal. A cheat meal is something that would exceed your calorie requirements and your macros, and that could even be, plain chicken breast and rice. If that exceeded your calories, that is technically a cheat meal. So I don't actually often have a cheat meal. If I do eat something that most people would consider a cheat, it's usually fit into my calorie requirements anyway. So it's technically not a cheat meal. When I am dieting though, instead of having a cheat meal to reward myself, I usually have a refeed day. And what that is a day when I lower my protein and lower my fat intake and increase my carbohydrates. The reason I do this is to help increase my leptin hormone levels. And leptin, when you're dieting, is it's a hormone that decreases, and leptin is very important for fat burning. So having a refeed day will help boost that up and keep your fat burning ticking along. So instead of a cheat meal, I usually have a refeed day. Anyone else? Yep.
What would you recommend future during training, and which sets them back. So then they start going, something happens that sets them back. What would you recommend?
What kind of injuries do you have, or have you had in the past? Is it muscle tears or something like that, or?
Yeah, muscle tears, bone fractures, all sorts of different things.
It's always, do you warm up?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important to warm up and get the muscle warm before you train. If you go heavy on a cold muscle, you can easily tear it. So it's always good to warm the muscle up. Even sometimes do cardio, maybe for 5 minutes, get the blood flowing throughout your body. It's always a good tip, to prevent injuries. Same with stretching. Not static stretching, but dynamic stretching. So instead of holding, say if you're stretching, you're going to train your chest, instead of static stretching your chest where you hold it, use dynamic stretch, where you go like that. And that is real good to warm up the muscle before you train it. Helps prevent injuries.
So would you recommend that person look into their diet as well as, or maybe just suggest a training program?
It could be something to do with your diet. Like if you've had bone fractures, it could be low calcium, so you might not be getting enough calcium in your diet. So it might be something you want to pay attention to, yeah.
How often do you train abs, and do you switch your ab workout throughout the week, or like just continuously for a few weeks?
How often do I train abs? Well, every muscle group in my body I usually train once a week. My abs and my calves, because it's a smaller muscle group and I find it recovers a lot faster, I usually train my abs and my calves twice a week. My ab workouts, for a month, it'll be the same ab workout every time, so 2 times a week, the same ab workout. I do that for a month, and then after a month, once my abs stop getting sore, then I change up my ab routine for the next month.
What was your favourite ab workout?
My favourite ab workout? Some of my favourite ab exercises are hanging leg raises. That's probably one of my favourites. So I like to get a slow negative on the way down and really get the abs to rip. There's actually more muscle fibers ripped on the negative rep. That goes with any exercise. So it's real important to do a slow negative and get the abs to really rip open. Some other good exercises that I like to do for my abs are cable crunches. So those are probably my 2 favourite, hanging leg raises and cable crunches. Anyone else? Yep.
How fast can you go on the Lambo?
Not fast enough yet. No tickets, so yeah. Anyone? Yep.
Hey, say you're like a ship worker or something, and you're eating your macro. You've got your macros throughout the day.
Yep.
And you've eaten all your macros for the day, and it's like midnight. And you still got a few hours left to work. Can you start eating into the next day, and then just catch up on that?
So can you eat your tomorrow's meal today? Yeah, you can. I do that quite often actually. So sometimes I'll actually have my breakfast before I go to bed, and then when I wake up in the morning, I'll probably sleep in for a little bit, and then I go straight to my meal too. So at the end of the day, it's exactly the same. Your body's still consuming the same amount of calories. Your body works on a much larger time frame, like a 24, 72, 48-hour weekly net balance. So it's not going to really make any difference if you have your breakfast before you go to bed, even though it technically wouldn't be breakfast. But the same thing, yeah. Any other questions?
Have you ever thought of competing, or why wouldn't you?
Have I ever thought of competing? I have thought of competing in the past. I don't think I'll ever compete though. If I did compete, it would not be bodybuilding, it would be men's physique class. At the moment, I've got no plans on competing, but maybe one day, who knows. At the moment, I'm just focusing on my business and my clients and all that, yeah. Anyone else?
So apart from doing your weights and cardio, is there any other activities you like to do in your leisure, like do boxing or anything?
Any other sports? No, at the moment, it's just gym. In the past, I played other sports. I played touch rugby, I played soccer, cross country. I've played many sports over my lifetime. I was big into my skateboarding, but at the moment, just weights and cardio. Anyone else? Yep.
What do you recommend as a good bicep exercise?
A good bicep exercise?
Any flex for us?
Yeah, I'll give you a flex. So, depends what you want to get in your bicep. Now, there's 2 main heads in the bicep. there's a bicep long head, which is the outer part of your bicep, and the bicep short head, which is the inner part of the bicep. The bicep short head is where the mass of your bicep is. So to build mass on your bicep, you want to do heaps of exercises that target the bicep short head, which is the inner part of your bicep. So such as wide grip curls and dumbbell curls is really going to target that area. If you want to build a better bicep peak, even though your peak of your bicep is somewhat genetic, you can get a better peak through way of training, such as training your bicep long head. Whatever bicep exercise you do, both of those heads are going to be activated, but if you do bicep exercises with a close grip or like hammer curls, it's going to really target the bicep long head, which is the outer part of your bicep, and that's going to help develop a better bicep peak. So you can actually somewhat shape your muscle to the way you train it, even though most of the time it is down to genetics. Anyone else with any other questions?
What do you weigh now?
What do I weigh now? I'm not too sure, but probably around 83 to 84 kgs.
What do you do for your forearms?
I don't actually train my forearms directly at the moment. In the past I have. I've done behind the back wrist curls. Hammer curls are a good exercise to develop your forearms as well. But forearms get hit pretty much every day, you know. When you're training back, your forearms are activated, biceps, your forearms are activated. So forearms get a lot of work as it is. So I don't actually train my forearms directly, not at the moment anyway. On the odd occasion I'll do some wrist curls and that. But it's not really a muscle that I train directly, yeah.
How tall are you?
How tall am I? I don't actually know. I have been measured at 5'8", 5'9", and 5'10". I'm measured at 178 centimetres, so whatever that equals in feet, I'm not too sure. Yep.
What are your macros?
What are my macros? Well, it always changes depending on what my goals are. The minimum amount of protein that I'll ever aim for is 1 gram of protein per pound of my lean body weight, and that is the minimum amount of protein that I will have required, to not lose muscle mass. For my fat intake, I aim for at least 0.4 grams of fat per pound of my lean body weight. I do it all off pounds because most of my clients are from the US. For those who don't know how much pounds you weigh, there's 2.2 pounds in a kg. And then the rest of my calories come from either protein, carbs, or fats. Most of them coming from carbs, as they're my body's best source of fuel. At the moment, my protein intake is around 240. My carb intake is around 300, and my fat intake is around 60. Anyone else? Yep.
How did you get into photo shooting, and how much do you get paid per picture?
Well, they just most of them contacted me, so I started posting my own pictures up online, and then people like Strike Studio, and they came to me, they contacted me, they said, do I want a photo shoot? They didn't charge me anything, and they didn't pay me anything, but they got a lot of images for me, and when I post their pictures, it's got their watermark on it, so I'm promoting them, and all those images help promote my products as well, so it works in favour for both of us. Yep.
There's a lot of brews on the market at the moment.
There's a lot of what, sorry?
Pre-workouts.
Pre-workouts,
Do
yeah.
you take them?
Yes, I take pre-workouts. I've taken many in the past. The pre-workout that I use at the moment is Buzz from EHP Labs. Yeah, it's an awesome pre-workout, good focus, good pump. So yeah, I usually have 2 scoops of that, maybe about 30 minutes before I train. Any other questions?
How much water do you drink a day, bro?
How much water?
Yeah.
Usually about 4 litres minimum. I usually buy the 2-litre bottles of water, and I go through 2 of them a day. So I actually drink OxyShred. What I do, OxyShred is a fat burner from EHP Labs. Every morning I put 2 scoops of OxyShred in a 2-litre water bottle. I drink that, and I go through 2 of those bottles a day. Anyone else?
When you cut, do you carb cycle or anything like that, or how long do you drop your carbs?
Do I carb cycle when I cut? Yeah. When I'm cutting, I don't carb cycle. I do lower my carbs because when you cut, you've got to lower your calories regardless. And carbs are usually the first macronutrient to get lowered. I try to keep my protein and fat as high as I can, and then lower my carbs. So carbs are usually the first to drop. I'll I don't think I've ever been below 100 grams of carbs per day. I actually have done keto once before, but I didn't like that. But when I'm not doing a keto diet, my carbs will never go below 100.
How many weeks do you sustain a cut?
How many weeks do I sustain a cut?
For example, like, when do you start? If you have, you said you don't do shows, but when you start, like, how long do you cut?
It depends, really. I don't really set a time because I don't compete. I don't have a end date, so I don't really set a time aside. If I was going to diet for a show, though, I'd bulk up leading to it, and then 12 weeks before the show, I would do a cut. So about 12 weeks is a good time frame to get in show condition. Yep, sure.
How much, what body fat percentage are you right now?
Right now, I'm not too sure, to be honest. Sorry, I've actually never been measured before, so I'm not sure, yeah. Does anyone else have any questions?
What's the toughest question a client's asked you?
Oh, there's a lot of tough questions. A lot of silly questions as well. Off the top of my head, I can't actually think of any, but yeah, I get some out of their questions, that's for sure. Yeah.
Where do you want to be in like 5 years?
We don't want to be in 5 years. Well, I want to hopefully own the biggest and most well-known online personal training business in the world. One day, hopefully, even open my own line of gyms. So we'll just see where it goes from there. Yep, at the back.
I just bought one of your programs the other day.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of sorbet. What macronutrients is that?
What's that, sorry?
What macronutrient is that for?
Your diet?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Once you send in your question form, I'll then take all that information and then I'll base your macronutrient split from there. So I'll always aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of your lean body weight, at least 0.4 grams of fat per pound of your lean body weight, and then the rest of your calories from either protein, carbs, or fats, depending on what your calorie requirements are for your goals. Yep.
I also have got one of your programs, and I'm doing a lean kind of cut. I've noticed that you haven't put protein in. Do I take protein after my workouts as well as all the meals?
Oh, do you mean protein powders? Yeah, okay. Well, if you want some protein powders in your meal plan, I can include that. At the moment, if there is no protein powder listed in your diet, it'll be all your protein requirements are met through whole foods, such as your protein sources of foods. However, if you do want to include some protein powder, just email me and I can make some substitutes for you. That's not a problem at all. But at the moment, if you add in some protein now on top of your current diet, that'll be changing your calorie requirements. So it'll be adjusting your diet. So you'll have to make some substitutes. But just email me and I'll make those changes for you, not a problem. Anyone else got any questions? Yep.
How long do you spend prepping food, bro, for the week?
I usually prep my food the night before, maybe about...
So you don't prep for like for 7 days?
No, I don't prep for 7 days. It's just the day before, yeah. So, yeah, maybe 15 minutes most. Just quick and easy meals, yeah. Anyone else got any questions? Yep.
Top 3 gyms.
The top 3 gyms?
Yeah, that you trained at.
My favourite gym that I like to train at is Wolf's Gym in Henderson. So that's where I actually train at. That's a good gym. I also like the Wolf's Gym on the shore. So those will be my top 2. And then after that, I would probably say Les Mills in the city. Have I ever run them, or have I ever done them myself? And no, I haven't. No, I can't say I have. Yeah. Anyone else?
Would you recommend yoga?
I don't personally do yoga. Depends, you know. But yeah, I don't do yoga. Yeah, I don't see.
The science behind the yoga is not attractive to you for training?
No, not really. Yeah. Anyone else?
What supplements do you take?
What supplements do I take? So my staples that I take every single day are my protein powders. I take Oxywade from EHP Labs. Then I also take a fat burner, which I take twice a day every morning. No, I reckon just once a week is best, yeah. Everyone's different and you have to find out what your body adapts to best. Bigger muscle groups like chest, I find it's best to give it a week's rest because when you're in the gym, your muscles actually not growing, you're breaking your muscle down. You need to give it enough time for rest, recovery, and your growth. So yeah, once a week. Anyone else got any questions?
All the supplements and stuff that you take, like you can take a pre and multivites and whey, everything like that. There's all the ingredients and things that are in them. Would you recommend like getting bloods and stuff done to check to make sure your livers and kidney functions all good?
For supplements, no, it's fine. Alcohol, drinking alcohol is a lot worse. So there's a lot more worse things that you can put in your body. Supplements are, nothing wrong with them.
What's your favourite muscle group to train?
My favourite muscle group to train, it actually always changes. Sometimes it's chest, sometimes it's back, sometimes it's biceps. It always changes. At the moment, my least favourite is probably shoulders. I'm just not enjoying my shoulders. At the moment, my most favourite would be triceps. But again, it always changes. Sometimes I like chest. It just depends what I'm feeling like, really. Anyone else? That's it? Alright, it was good to talk to you all. Hope you are enjoying the expo. And if you're coming tomorrow, I'll be here tomorrow again. So come and ask some more questions. Alright, I'll see you later, everyone.